a recording of a man who sounds a whole lot like Elvis Presley
Living to love you.
singing a song not in the Elvis catalog. A family and its lawyer turned to News Channel 3 for help.
I know the paperwork's real. I am confident that the tape is real. But like they said, there's a lot of impersonators who could do this.
I tracked down audio analysts.
Everybody has a certain pathological characteristic to their voice.
And music experts.
It's a very significant find if it is indeed the real deal.
Searching for answers.
I'm giving.
Is this the lost recording of Elvis Presley? Find out tonight in a 2-part special report at 5 and 11. Until then, I'm Mike Chesney, News Channel. This is the story of a king. The king. And a recording.
I'm living.
This recording.
Living to love you.
Of a song called Living to Love You. And according to Battle Creek attorney Violet Hinton, that's Elvis Presley singing. She says the song comes from songwriter Jimmy Crane and producer Albert Lee, recorded in 1976, the year before Elvis died. There's a series of unfortunate events.
Jimmy Crane died. Albert Lee had a stroke. His studio was broken into. He had a second stroke and he died.
And the recording disappears, only to be rediscovered years later, collecting dust in the attic of Albert Lee's wife's home.
Her house was foreclosed on. They were going through it. They found all this stuff.
One of those sons lives in Battle Creek and brought the recording he believed was Elvis to Hinton.
Because in the contracts it always says,
along with a table full of documents.
all the tapes, all the contracts, all the songs written by Jimmy Crane, copyrights.
Hinton, a lifetime Elvis fan, couldn't help but be all shook up.
He was the greatest. There's no one like Elvis Presley, never will be. They can say that other singers were as good. They can't be. So when I heard that, I knew that that was Elvis Presley. I knew it.
Hinton says she's verified the authenticity of the documents, and she says they connect Elvis, Jimmy Crane, and Albert Lee all to this song. Perhaps most important, shipping receipts. On the song line, Living to Love You. The artist line, Elvis. But Hinton admits there's no smoking gun here, no one piece of evidence that proves that this recording is really the king himself. It's a case she brings to News Channel 3. I tracked down forensic audio expert Ed Primo and noted music journalist Gary Graff to help solve the mystery. Graff says if the recording is real, it's a huge deal.
It's a great find because if it truly does come from 1976, Elvis's recording had really waned by then. He was not an active recording artist at that time, much to the consternation of his record company of RCA.
A person's voice is very characteristic.
Primo has done forensic audio-visual analysis work on dozens of legal cases. He says the best scenario would be having Elvis sing this song today and matching to that. Obviously, not an option.
We go back to that same era and we pull a piece of music.
I'll remember you.
We find similar phrasing vocally in the music and call that our exemplar, and we compare that to the sample that we want to know if this is indeed Elvis or not.
Files in, programs running,
and then I've got to take one of this.
Ears ready.
Living to love you.
Of course, that now takes us into the investigation phase. We sat down with Primo for hours, dissecting the recording, comparing it to known Elvis songs. And tonight at 11, we'll take you step by step through that process and ultimately to the answer. Is this Elvis? I'm Mike Chesney. News showed you where the recording came from, its past, its journey. Now we take you through the step-by-step process to prove if this really is Elvis.
Working for the man every night and day.
Elvis Presley,
1 minute of sleeping.
the king, the singer of hits like Love Me Tender and Heartbreak Hotel,
I'm living.
and maybe also of this recording,
Living to love you.
titled Living to Love You, never released. Documents tie it back to 1976 and songwriter Jimmy Crane and producer Albert Lee. When both men die, the recording disappears into an attic and is only recently rediscovered and brought to Battle Creek attorney Violet Hinton.
Even though it's not the best tape, I knew it was Elvis Presley.
But now she needs to prove it, and News Channel 3 steps in to help solve the mystery. I tracked down forensic audio expert Ed Primo
Critical listening is probably one of the most important parts of voice identification.
and respected music journalist Gary Graff.
A complete, previously unreleased song by Elvis is a grail. Maybe not a holy grail, but it's still definitely, it's a significant find.
Primo explains how he's going to determine if the recording is actually of Elvis.
So what we do is we go back to that same era and we pull a piece of music. We find similar phrasing vocally in the music and call that our exemplar, and we compare that to the sample that we want to know if this is indeed Elvis or not.
And then he listens.
I'll spend my lifetime.
And listens.
For now, my love,
And listens.
I'll remember you.
To Living to Love You. To What Now, My Love, and I'll Remember You off of Aloha from Hawaii. He analyzes the audio spectrum, watches the waveforms bounce, and eventually, the veteran witness from dozens of court cases delivers his verdict. What are you under oath? Is that Elvis? What would you say?
Yes, it's Elvis Presley. There's no doubt in my mind.
Tonality, vibrato, phrasing, the spectrum, all a match. But we take it one note further. Check out the audio from a known Elvis song and our suspected Elvis song. You can see how closely they match. Put that up against an Elvis impersonator and another performer, we use Neil Diamond, you can clearly see they don't match.
There's no two Elvis Presleys on this planet, and we heard so many nuances that were similar in the impersonator and in Elvis, but at the end of the day, it's different.
Ed Primo is one of the leaders in his field. His word carries a substantial amount of weight.
Enough weight for Graff to also believe this is Elvis. He says by the mid-70s, Elvis wasn't doing much recording, which makes this even more special.
So you're really talking about probably one of a handful, if that many, of new songs that Elvis recorded in that time period. Who knows what the intent was there? Was this the beginning of a new Elvis album? Was he starting to look for material?
What you've discovered here is an update to an estate that has been quiet for a long time.
There's going to be a lot of commercial possibilities.
I went back to attorney Violet Hinton with the news. Forensic audio guy listened to it, says that it's Elvis.
I knew it. I just knew it. I knew the first time I heard it. It was really Elvis.
She hopes this starts the ball rolling for her clients, producer Albert Lee's family.
I'm hoping that this gets enough notoriety that the people I've been trying to reach, well, actually, I'll be able to get through to now.
And eventually make it so other Elvis fans worldwide can enjoy the King's newest song too.
I'll spend my lifetime living just to love you more and more.
This may be only the beginning of the new journey for this recording. Graff says if the right people hear about it, they could raise ownership questions, and the original reel-to-reel may also exist, but the Lee family doesn't have it. We reached out to Graceland and Sony Music Entertainment about this story, but we did not get a response. I'm Mike Chesney, News Channel 3.